Okay, I'm live again, and this is a serious video, okay? Satan's Playground is the title. That is because that is the world we live in. It is Satan's world, and it is Satan's playground. That's the title that I'm using because it is the truth. We are spiritual beings, as I've said before, in a physical body. Our thought creates reality, and we're all connected. I'm shouting because it makes me angry. It's frustrating. And it's all negative in a way. And that's because we are playing in Satan's playground. This is his domain. That is a title. That is a word, right? It signifies, you could say it signifies a particular being that controls all of our reality, if you like. Okay, so we can use it religiously. If you don't buy that and you don't accept that as a reality, that is okay too. You can then put it to be human beings who have gone dark, shall we say. You know, beings of power, shall we say, beings who control other human beings. And we all know that we're all controlled. None of us are really free. We are all controlled by our environment, by the world around us, by the rules, by the regulations, by the right, wrong, the duality world, as I've said, the right, wrong, the good, bad. Look, this is how it is, and it is complicated. It really is a totally spiritual world, but a lot of people do not buy that. And I didn't buy it for a lifetime either, because we live in this physical domain. Like I say, we're spiritual beings, but we're in a physical body, and we create reality with our thinking. So we create a physical reality with our thinking, which is solid, which you can feel, see, touch and smell, etc. And this is the deception. We create it, but we do not have control over it. It is Satan's playground. He has the actual control over it now. We lost control over our world a long, long, long time ago. And this is because we are now, as myself is too, almost disconnected from this truth that we're spiritual beings in a physical body. Our thought creates reality, and we're all connected. Think about that. And also, another thing, which is also very important, is everything in this world is frequency, vibration, and energy. Frequency, vibration, energy is like the matter, I think, that we create, the solid stuff, okay? But all is frequency, vibration as well. Now, that combined with the thinking, that we create reality with our thinking, and we're all connected. These are the basics of what this world is and what human beings are. We are in this world. It is not our world. It has been taken over by other forces, dark forces, because spiritual beings are spiritual. So they normally lean towards light, shall we say. Now, this is complicated, okay? And human beings, because they operate through frequency and vibration, I at the moment am sick, right? As you can see. This is because yesterday my vibration for a period of time went very low. So that meant that I was susceptible to disease and infection and illness, okay? That's why I'm sick today. If I had kept my vibration high, or even at a reasonable level, I would not have anything wrong with me today. But that's what I'm saying. It's not my world. So if, like I say, it's Satan's playground, it's dark playground. It's light versus dark, okay, in a way. So Satan is the word that I use to describe the controlling forces of this world. Now, you can use this religiously if you want to, because it is a spiritual battle in a way. It is a spiritual world. Everything is really spiritual, even though we are deluded into thinking that it's all physical. Of course, it's physical, but we are spiritual and we are creating the physical, but we are unaware we're creating the physical. And because we are controlled by a satanic world that is essentially dark, and we are being put into a low vibration and negative thinking, we are consciously and subconsciously creating a negative world. And this is why the world is negative and not good and not what we would really like, even as spiritual beings, because we don't know we're spiritual beings. We don't know we are indirectly creating it, because this has been deprived from us. It is Satan's playground, because he knows this. He knows that we are the creators, and he uses us to create a satanic negative world. And he keeps us in a low vibration so that we get sick. We should never be sick. If we are in our natural high vibration, sickness and illness and disease should not exist. And this is why, think about this, why sometimes when a plague, for instance, sweeps through a town or a city, most people are killed, but some survive. Why do you think some people survive? We're all human. We all have the same mechanism, really. That's right. But some have managed to maintain a high vibration. And this is why they escape and are immune to disease and illness. This is the secret, people. And I'm saying people, humans, anything that any life form that exists on this earth operates that way, but they're unaware of it, just as I was. And even when you're aware of it, you still are not able to always control it. Like I say, I'm sick today, so I'm aware of it, but I still succumb to it because the satanic negativity that was put onto me. In other words, put it simply, right? I'm a human being and I deal with other human beings. If I have an argument with someone yesterday, particularly if it gets to be to where I get really brought down by it, if I'm not able to rise above that conversation or that negative conversation, that negative vibe, if that person matters to me, then I'm going to be affected anyway, even though I'm aware of this. If I'm able to be indifferent to it or immune to it, then I will keep my vibration higher, and so therefore I will not succumb to the sickness. But let's be honest, like supposing you're arguing with your spouse, right? And you love your spouse, and he's going to leave you or something like that. You are not going to be able, unless you are really a superior human being that can keep your vibration high despite that distressing circumstance, you are going to then get sick. You're going to be susceptible to mental or physical ailments, you see. And this is how this world works. And this is because of ignorance. Because if we all knew this and we were all combined like we are meant to be, because we are all connected, you see, then we have the full power. It's like, the old saying, like they say in some movies, the power of a certain number. That's another thing too, because also if you know this, then you would not be fighting with your spouse, because you know that it would be the same as fighting yourself, you see. No one is going to punch their mirror image or their other part, shall we say, because that's just defeating yourself. But we do not know this. We think we are all separate. We get angry at other human beings. We get angry at the world. We get angry at everything. But this is all a setup. This world is a total setup. It is Satan's playground. He has set up he sets up every situation. He sets up every environmental thing that happens. He sets up every personal situation even. He has total control over his playground. It has been allowed and given to him. I'm not going to go into why. There again, you would have to go into an alternative history. But that's essentially how it works. And he has, and I say he because that is another thing which I've discovered, is that the satanic world and Satan, or whatever your name you want to put on the entity that controls this earth and more, as I've said before, it's a closed off system really. It operates separately, I believe, to the rest of creation. Satan created this domain, but he did not create outside of it. It's not his domain outside of it, but what we know is this domain. So some people, a lot of humans, bow down to the satanic power, the satanic force, because they're not entirely wrong in realizing that he controls this domain and that he has the power and that it is his playground. The only thing I would say is that, are they correct or are they also being fooled? Because Satan is, as we know, a genius and a master of deception, lies, contradictions, everything that is the opposite to the spiritual human being who actually would create. He is in opposition to creation. His matrix world that he has created around us, this false world, this false reality, we indirectly create it because he has control over us. He controls our thinking. He sets up the situations. He sets up the environment. It's very hard to explain, but just think about it. If you can think about it and accept those basics that I put to you. So then, most human beings are operating under his control, even though they actually are the creators. He is actually the destructive force, the opposition to the creative force, because he actually doesn't create personally. He gets humans to create for him, but they create negatively because they're under his influence. In other words, like me now, I'm sick because I had a bad day yesterday and I was not able to keep my vibration and my thinking high enough to where I could actually separate and say, hey, I am who I am. This circumstance is really a setup, and yes, it is not really real, and it is a satanic setup. But I was not able to do this because I cared too much about the people and the situation involved, because spiritual beings are like that, you see, because we're all really spiritual beings, but we've lost sight of that. I have fought with people over the years, and I was fighting for truth yesterday, but even truth can be a negative thing used against me and against this world in this satanic playground, because Satan not only has control over it, but he is a genius, but he is negative, and he also is confusion. He is chaos. He creates all of that so humans lose sight of their spiritual creativity, of the fact of what they should be creating, and that they're all connected. That connection is now technology. Technology is satanic. Technology is controlled by Satan. Technology was given to us by Satan, okay? Human beings, spiritual human beings that are natural creators, that are creating this environment, but it is now controlled by technology. Keep thinking, people. It's complicated, but keep thinking about it. Human beings are meant to be without technology because they don't need it. They create with their thinking. You don't need technology if you're all connected and you are really the creator with your thinking. That's common sense, isn't it? I mean, whether you buy what I'm saying or not, and I know you won't, because you have bought into Satan's world, the opposite. You bought into the technology and into the fact that you are nothing and nobody, and that you are just in a physical body, and that you were just that you just come here by accident, evolution, all this lies, because that is not the truth at all. It is a lie. It is a satanic lie. Yes, it does go back, because even the Bible and the Garden of Eden and even the false history, there is truth, because truth has to be put to humans, because humans are the power. So humans have to be shown the truth, but if it's put to them in a deceptive way, they will not buy it and they will not see the truth and they will go with the lies. Because even though it is his playground, it is not his whole creation. This is only a small portion of creation where we live. Now, it's complicated, but I'm trying to put it simply. It is his playground. He is technological. He rules by technology because he has lost spirituality. He does not create. Humans create. They are unaware that they create. They are in a satanic, technologically controlled environment. They believe that they are physical only and that they evolved haphazardly into what they are now. They do not believe that they were once pure spiritual beings here and that there was intervention, even though, like the Garden of Eden thing, as I've said before, there is truth to that. There was intervention. The intervention was by technological beings, satanic type intervention. They tricked the spiritual beings into believing that they were not as good as what they were. In other words, there was a seduction, yes, a satanic seduction. It's hard to explain, but I'll go back to the Garden of Eden because it fits the scenario, okay? That there was an intervention, the missing link, which is still scientific too, because we all know the missing link. The missing link is intervention by satanic technological beings. I'm not going to put names on all these things. You'll have to go look into the alternative histories to find all this. It is all there. But this is not the history that we know. We know the evolution history. That is the false history. It is not totally false, but it is not the full story. And it's just a missing link. In other words, we evolved, but there is a missing link. And there is a lot of discrepancies. Humans know this, but they dismiss them. And of course, science gives you some flimsy explanation for it, because it is flimsy, because even science will tell you, hey, there is a missing link. But maybe that's just because there was some sort of mutation and we don't know this or that. I'm not going to go there because you'll have to look all this up for yourself. If you really want the truth, you'll have to look it all up. And even I have not looked up enough, but I have enough now. And also, once you become aware, and this is the thing, humans are meant to be totally aware. That's something that I now realise too, and some have said this. Basically, that's all they are, and that is true too. They are just meant to know everything. But instead, we know nothing. Because if we don't know our basics, that we're really spiritual beings, and that we create with our thinking, and that we're all connected, figure it out yourself. That is just the very simple basics of it, and yet we do not even know this. So that shows that we have been completely hoodwinked by this satanic playground. Satan definitely, this entity, whatever name you want to put on him, and I wish that I knew, I do know that there are various names. This force has been here since intervention, since the missing link, okay? Because that was when human beings were, how shall we say, where their pure form was interbred almost, you could say, with another life form which was inferior, okay? Inferior, not to themselves, but to us, because this is what I've been trying to say all along. Human beings are spiritual beings. Technology is a technological being's way. Humans are not meant to mingle with technology. Human beings were not meant to breed with a technological being, which they did. I could put names onto it. I don't want to because it makes it too unbelievable for people. But the missing link is there. And we were interacted with by a satanic force that was not the same as us. We were already perfect and meant to evolve naturally. We are meant to evolve with nature. Human beings are spiritual, nature is spiritual, okay? Humans' earth is meant to be a natural earth. Instead, technology is Satan's playground, and it has become his earth because we interacted with Satan at a crucial point, and this changed our physiology to where we are compromised. But it shows you how, but it does show you how special we really were, because we still have some of it. And even at that level, we could still pull ourselves back up, which shows you. So this intervention basically compromised us in every way, right? That means that where we once were disease and sickness free and eternal and could live on this earth for as long as we wanted, for extended periods of time, the technological, because we were tricked, the technological being who also lives for long periods of time, but this is in a technological way. There's no creativity. It is just a technological being that uses technology to keep themselves going. And that is what they want humans to do. They don't want humans to know that they are meant to be spiritually eternal. They want humans to be technological and to think that if they go technology, that they will have longevity and superior mental and physical things. This is the deception, because figure it out yourself. If we are spiritual beings in a physical body and we create reality with our thinking and we're all connected, how could we possibly advance with technology? It will take from that because we already have it all. You see what I'm trying to say? They have nothing. Technology has nothing. Technology is to take from us so that Satan can totally control us. And this is what is happening, and this is what has happened, because this is now his playground, his domain. It is not our world anymore. Even nature is compromised. We are meant to be in contact with nature, not technology. We are life. Technology is death. We are spiritual beings. We are life. We go with nature, with living things. Satan is technology. He goes with non-living things. Technology is non-living. Technology is not life. Artificial intelligence is anti-life, if you look at it that way. Technology is anti-human, anti-life. Okay? That's putting it very bluntly. And this is what the choice that humans need to realize. But they have already, because they don't realize this. And how could you realize it if you don't realize what you really are, and that you don't need all this, because we are seduced into thinking that we need technology, you see. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't have technology even at our compromised level, but if we are to have technology, it must be natural technology. This is what I'm saying. Whereas the technology we have is not natural. It is alien, literally. Satan is alien. And the technology is also satanic and alien, and it is alien to our human body. It is alien to our spiritual being. This is the truth. This is the basics of it. Now, if you haven't experienced it, it is hard for you to grasp. I know it to be true because I now experience it, but I didn't know it for a lifetime. I believed only in the physical, and I also believed that we did have some control over our physical domain. I thought this was our earth. but it is not. And if you look round today, and it is shown to you, don't forget, they are showing you, because they have to show spiritual beings the truth. They have to be given the choice. And if we were not important, and if it really wasn't meant to be our domain, and if we really didn't have some ability that way, some spiritual ability, this would not be shown to us. It would not have to be, because Satan would just have, if Satan has all the power, which we have given him the power, but if he had all the power just naturally, completely, then we would not be given a choice, would we? Because he has the power, so he could just zonk us all anyway. We know that even on this earth that we live in, that even the powers that be have the ability technologically to wipe out the whole planet, wipe out any human beings they want to, and they do have this technology. And they have for a long time. And don't forget, I won't go on to that now because it'll confuse you. But what I'm saying is that they do have to give us a choice, because we are the creator beings. That is the joke of it. This is the tragedy and the joke of it. And so then we have to be given the truth in front of us. We should know that it's a satanic world, because the truth is not only out there, literally, and that's a joke too, all these TV shows and things, that is the truth. The truth is out there. The truth will set you free. Yes, that is the joke. Yes, these, what's that word they use now? These even mocking even true statements. That is satanic, to where, everything is a soundbite. I only learned that one recently, a soundbite. So anything that even is truth or makes any sense, that becomes a soundbite. Oh, you're just being smart. And look, this is the world that we live in, because Satan has total control of it. The truth is a soundbite. Anything that is true is a soundbite in today's world. But Satan still has to put out the truth to humans. He throws it in your face every day, on your television, in your movies and stuff, and you think that is all false. So then you make the choice to go along with his physical, fake, limited world. Because you are limited if you don't know your own abilities. If you don't know that you're a spiritual being, and your thought creates reality, and you're all connected, and you're using technology for communication and stuff, think of how limited and how in the dark you really are. The technology we are given is primitive technology anyway, even at a technological level, let me say that. The technology behind the scenes. We live in two worlds. We live in two worlds on this planet. We... Yep, in this world that I'm living now, we are the limited, kept in the dark human beings that are given very primitive technology, and we think it's the best that is available. Behind the scenes, there are other human beings who have much more advanced technology. They are Satan's disciples, you could say. So they think they're on top of the world, and they do control the world at a physical level. They control you and me at a physical level, okay, with their technology, because they have much more advanced technology than what we are given. But even they are really controlled by, I think, by Satan, the real technological giant that actually controls even them. They bow down to him. In other words, they probably directly worship him, like a bit like most religions on this planet, because us poor humans, we want to be spiritual, strangely enough. That's why we have our religions. But we don't realize that even our religions are controlled by this satanic world. It's a satanic playground that's totally set up. So even our religions, even when we're trying to be spiritual, we are really probably not worshipping what we think we're worshipping. Sorry about the cough, but like I say, my vibration, because we're spiritual beings in a physical body. Our thought creates reality, but we're unaware of it, and we're all connected. We're unaware of that too. We use technology for connection. That is Satan's weapon against us. Okay, that is his control system. we do not need any of these things because we should be controlling our own reality, which we are creating, unaware of it. But also all is frequency and vibration. So they keep you in a low state of vibration, which means where you're not happy, you're not always really happy. And they keep trying to keep that down, because if you're at a low vibration, then you are susceptible to everything. You're susceptible to thought manipulation, you're susceptible to illness and sickness, you're susceptible to everything. And how can you avoid the low vibration if the matrix and the world around you is controlled by it's Satan's playground, and he controls every physical aspect of this reality. And although we are spiritual beings and are creating that reality with our thinking, we're unaware of it. So he uses our thinking and keeps us in a low vibrational state to where we can only create negativity. Does that make sense? It's very complicated. It is hard to grasp. As I say, look at me. I can't get on top of it. I know it. But yesterday, I was brought down to a low vibrational. In fact, most of the time, I'm at a low vibrational because my environment is satanically controlled, and therefore, even though I know this, how do you, as a spiritual being, even knowing that you create reality with your thinking, I am not connected to the other human beings because they're unaware of it. So we're all creating this chaos, basically, you see, because we're in the dark. We're not together, and we're not accepting that this is around us, almost an illusion, which we create because we have that ability, but we're unaware of it. And because that is controlled by negativity, because negativity is put onto us all the time, and we are creating it. It is a total mind chaos. And this is what it is deliberately designed to do. And human beings are tested every day. The truth is put to them. They see the satanic stuff on their TV. They see the satanic stuff in their music. They see the satanic stuff in their movies. They see the truth too in the movies and stuff, showing you the world that will be your future if you don't break from this satanic playground, shall we say, if you don't accept what you are. And why wouldn't you? If you actually knew it, of course you would go for the spiritual side of things, but you don't believe it and you don't think that it's possible, but you're actually doing it. This is the deception. This is the lie. I hope I'm getting it across, because it is hard to grasp. It really is. I understand that. It's hard. Like I say, I'm a victim of it too, and yet I know it. So it is very difficult. But if more people could see it, or even if you just see the satanic world that is around you and say, hey, this is definitely what we are living in. And then you say, do I want to go along with this? Or do I want an alternative? Now, I'm trying to say, this is how I see it, that if you are a spiritual being in a physical body and your thought creates reality, and we're really all connected and everything is frequency and vibration, and the idea is if you rise to a high vibration, which they've told us, because this is a fact, these are scientific facts anyway, at least the frequency vibration energy thing definitely is. If you can rise to that, then you create a good reality. And basically Satan's playground then becomes your playground. And it's no longer going to be his playground. Or at least he will not have much control over it, because you will then be creating a positive world. Whereas if you play in Satan's playground and bow down to the negative and go along with everything that you see around you, and you actually even accept and say, well, it's Satan's world, I'm going to go with Satan, and he has created it, so he must be the power, and you don't accept that you actually have some input into this world, even though you're creating it, then I think that does not make full common sense. And I think if you really thought about it, you would say the same. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't go along with the playground and with Satan, that you will not be physically rewarded. You will be. But that is still a deception because it is limiting. It's still accepting much less than what you really should be, and it's not taking your whole world, which is your world. Should be your right to have that world, really, if you look at it that way. If you're creating it, then why is it not your world? Why is it Satan's world if you're the creator? You see what I'm trying to say? He's taken over your mind and your creativity and using it as he wishes. If it suits him, he would use it for something positive to his own benefit, which will no doubt be negative to humans down the track, because this whole playground has been set up to essentially confuse humans, because Satan feeds off humans. We are everything that is living on this planet is used by the satanic powers, the satanic power to feed off. That's energy. Our vibration has to be low and they get the energy. They are different types of beings. Human beings feed off positive energy. Satan feeds off negative energy, okay? And all is frequency and vibration and energy, positive and negative. And this duality world is totally that way. It is totally good, bad, right, wrong. You know that because that's how we live. And all the laws and all the regulations in the whole world, the way it operates on good, bad, right, wrong, laws, regulations, and a control system. You know that because you live in it. You have to go to work every day. You have to do this. Even if you worship Satan, you have to do this. You have to do certain things. It is not free. It is not free. You will be rewarded, but you will still have to do certain things. You will not get, even if you serve and do something positive, you have to do something negative, because Satan does not operate. This domain does not operate through positivity. The only positivity in it is humans, and they are controlled by negative forces now, you see. Humans have the power to change it to positive and make any world they want, but they do not know this. Instead, it is controlled by a negative satanic power, shall we say. You can use, I will say this, that you can use any title you want. I use Satan as the title because that is something humans are familiar with. But a lot of people would probably not think of Satan as technological. But if you look at the world, you would have to say the powers that are controlling it, everything is technology. So that is definitely a weapon and a tool of the satanic force. Now, this being Satan is a good title. It is a good name. But this being, this entity, this control force has went by, from what I can gather, many different names down through the centuries. They're all one in the same, for what I can see. Just as we have different religions, but in a funny kind of way, some of them, like we used to have Catholic and Protestant, but they still worship the same God, even though they had differences in their religions, but they were still worshipping the same thing. And this is true of Satan. He has always been here for a long, long time, since intervention, okay? When he came and interbred and changed human beings, mutated human beings, sidetracked them, compromised them, crippled them, you could say, in a way, okay? Because he promises human beings that he will give them more, but in reality, he takes from them. Because if human beings were the creators and already had everything, the Garden of Eden thing fits. Because in other words, in the Garden of Eden, right, and I'm not trying to be religious, because it is technological, really. This being is technological, and we don't think of God as technological, okay? But at any rate, the Garden of Eden, human beings were created. I'm not going to say by who or what, but it was not by Satan, okay? It was not by this technological being. That was the intervention. That was the Garden of Eden where Adam and Eve were tempted by the serpent, Satan, whatever. And they were promised the tree of life, the difference between good and evil, the duality of the world we live in now, good and evil, right and wrong, good and bad. No, human beings were not meant to think that way against one another. No, that was not the tree of life. That was the tree of death. That's why we were warned against it. We were told if you eat of the tree of knowledge or of good and evil, you will surely die. And from that moment on, yes, we did die because we lost our longevity, we lost our immortality in this domain, we lost our abilities, our mind was closed off, our subconscious mind was taken from us because this was all a trick. We got tricked. We were not offered knowledge. The knowledge was a lie because we are the creators. So any knowledge we are given is the false reality. That is like a false history. Instead of saying, hey, you create everything, we're like told, oh no, this is a physical world. You evolved. You build things with your hands. You create your little buildings. This is all satanic control. This is all the intervention, which we now have lived for a long, long time, yes. And we believe it to be true. We have been denied our birthright, you could say. We have been denied the total truth. Truth is not something that operates in this world at all. It never has. Truth is alien to the satanic playground. Everything in the satanic playground is about physicality and lies and deception. And there again, he will tell you that. Satan is the master of all lies and deception. That's also there. He tells you the truth, but you still buy it. But what I am saying is that I cannot go back in time to actually say exactly how all this happened in the Garden of Eden. But it did happen. There was intervention, okay? Now, if you want to look at it in a technological space way, you can do that too. Because this is really the correct history, probably, at least from what I've heard. I've talked spiritually because we really are spiritual beings. It's a very confusing thing, right? But if you were like, say, if we were, say, placed, this is how I'm going to put it. This is how I'm trying to see it, right? And I'm trying to get it across. If we were like, say we were like Adam and Eve, right? And we may not have even been that, but I'm not saying that there again, I'm not 100% sure if we were originally two beings, two separate man and woman. But that also could be a trick because that's something that is also being skewed in our world. We have to be very aware of this. I'll just add this in, even though I'm making this long-winded and a long video. Satan is masculine, okay? Satan is masculine. That's why we believe in all our gods to be always male. Now, if you look at the world today, think about it. Are not even women being deliberately made into being more masculine? Am I wrong about that or not? Now, I know we talk all this feminism and equality and all that stuff. That is the satanic playground. That is the deception, I think. He wants people masculine, more masculine, not as much feminine, because the feminine is more creative and more intuitive. Okay? This is the truth. And he wants it more technological because he is masculine and technological. Okay? So he wants to eliminate more of the feminine. This is how I see it. That is the trick that women are falling for too, because they are now wanting to be like men. They do men's things. They're not accepting that they're physically less strong than men. They want to compete with men. They want to become, and they will fall for the technology in pursuit of this, but they will lose their minds in the process. They will lose their spirituality and their intuitive and their creative mind in doing this. So it is a satanic deception, and women are falling for it. I felt for it most of my life too. Also, this merging of the sexes too, instead of keeping them totally separate. This is all designed for a trick down the path. This is the satanic playground. Okay? It's hard to comprehend, I know. It's hard for me to comprehend too. I feel like finishing up right now because I've been going on for so long, and it's stressful and it's distressing and stressful for me to be talking about it, because it's like as though we're all in the dark, and even if you're not in the dark, you're still having to play in this satanic playground. Like I say, I'm sick today, and yet I'm aware of it. I was not able to keep the frequency high enough, the vibration high enough. In other words, I was not able to keep myself thinking positive or feeling a bit happy if I was surrounded by negative people and negative, distressing feelings. I still fell for that. And you can't help but feel for it, because you feel for your human beings, you see. So it is a total trap even for us that are aware. We also play in Satan's playground. It is, he is not, he might be the master of all lies and deception, but of course he is also a genius and highly technologically advanced. So he has the knocker. Now, what I was saying before, though, was, and this is directed towards people who worship him directly, and there are many individuals, humans, who actually do, because like in the Garden of Eden, they're like, hey, he has the knowledge, he has the power, he has the technology. So why would we not go with that? Now, we're not getting it, you and me, but we're only getting the limited versions of that, the limited technology. But the more wealthy human beings, the billionaires and the people who even work for him, because if you look at the world today, you can see that most of our industries that are around us are actually quite controlled by it. If you look at it, even our music industry is totally satanic. If you look at the music itself and you look at the vibration and the energy, the frequency, and even the images of the people that we love and admire, it's seductive, but it's satanic as well. And I've went for it too. It's a bit like saying, oh, I like the vampire. And we do now. Whereas before we were like, no. See how we are gradually being conditioned to actually like the demons, the vampires. Oh, well, look, think about the movies. Think about it. We think that is great. And we think, yes, that is eternal life. Yes, it's okay to suck someone's blood because that gives you, it's okay to even kill. This is the demonic thing. And this is the worship of the people who go along with it. And it serves them well. Their attitude is do what you will, do what you like, as long as you preserve yourself, and it's all about survival. Yes, if it's a bit like a vampire, right? He has to kill another human being to get their blood to survive. And so therefore it's justified, you see. And that would be okay if it wasn't the truth. What I'm trying to say is, even to you people who are satanic and who worship this, you are also deceived just as much as other human beings like myself who have got nothing and who do not get the benefits, at least, of the high technology and of, yes, the human blood, shall we say, that might give you longevity and all this sort of stuff. Yes, and also you're not getting the material benefits because you're not worshipping directly. But you also are being deceived, is what I'm saying, in my opinion. Yes, you know more and you are given the knowledge and you are getting more benefits, but you are still not your whole power. You still are controlled by the Satan's playground. He, or the entity, technological entities, that control the whole thing are still controlling you and benefiting from you. And in the long run, you will not be probably that much better off than the humans that you also prey on, because you prey on your own kind. And but like I say, you're a victim too, but you just don't know it. It's a bit like the way we kill the animals and our natural environment. We're defeating ourselves. When humans destroy their natural environment and other living things, they're defeating themselves indirectly. The higher up humans that prey on the lesser human beings are also defeating themselves too, but they don't know it. They think they're ruling the world and they think they're doing great. I'm actually imploring you that you also are a victim, but you don't know it. You billionaires are actually victims too, but you just don't know it. You're doing better now, and yes, you can keep going for a fair period of time. But you will only go for as long as you serve this satanic system, okay? But at some point, many of you will become indispensable. You think you're indispensable now, but you know the old saying, once again, no one or nothing is indispensable in this physical, mind control, deceptive, false, satanic playground. Matrix, I say matrix because it's technologically controlled, and it is not really real in the sense that humans actually believe it to be real. It's solid only because it is created by our thinking, but we don't know we're creating that with our thinking. We think that it is already here, has been here for a long time, and that we're just playing with it like a piece of clay. You know, but we are not playing with it with our hands like a piece of clay. That is only our mind, because we have been taken over in the mind to where we are limited and actually think that we can only change this world with our hands. We don't think that our combined thinking, that we have the power with our combined thinking to change this world. That has been kept from us, and it's been kept from all of us. And like I say, if we're in the low frequency, we're going to even buy it even more, because then you are brought down, like me today, into physical sickness. And therefore, it's very hard to then say, oh, yes, I'm a spiritual being and my thoughts create reality and we're all connected. So why haven't I got a great world? Well, I've just told you why. If you can get it. And it is hard to get. And I don't blame you if you don't, but I implore you to think about it, at least to try it out. I've said this before, try it out even. Try and see if you can't manifest something, a little something. Because this is what I've tried to do. I've tried to reaffirm, even in a physical way, this concept. Because otherwise even I wouldn't believe it. Because it's if something is denied from you, and you're born into a technological physical world that is all encompassing and is all around you, it's very hard for you to actually think, oh yeah, that you have any input into it. I mean, it's kind of a bad joke that even the lesser human beings, us right down the low level like myself, actually have as much ability as someone who is right at the top, except that they have the knowledge, you see. They have the secret knowledge. They have the power, and they know what's going on more. And they also do have more advanced technology, which is used against us. And technology is a physical thing. But as we create the physical, and because we are brought into a low vibration, that physical technology can then be used against us. You see what I'm saying? Whereas if we go into a high spiritual state, a high physical vibration, a bit like some people would talk about the Jesuses and this sort of thing, then they are untouchable. Then you are untouchable because you have risen above the physical. So therefore the technology cannot even hurt you. But while you're in the low frequency, like I am today, that means that the technology can bombard you and can damage you at a physical level and at a mental level, and it takes control of you then, because you then brought right back down into the pure physical. And you're unaware that you are actually creating it and a part of it too. So it is very complicated and very confusing. And there's no reason that you'll be able to get on top of it, because also your other human beings that you're meant to be connected to and that you are meant to use to create the better reality by that. You see what I'm saying? Instead, they're disconnected and they're using technology and they're in a low vibration too. So basically, you're just creating what actually is, which is an absolute hell, chaotic, mind-controlled, insane asylum Earth, which operates and is destroying itself, destroying the natural world, which is our only hope, because human beings operate through life and spirit. Nature is living. Technology is the satanic playground. It is death. It is not life. It is alien to the human spiritual being. Okay? Okay. Do try and think about it and try to keep positive. We are told this. We are given the truth there again. Even the demons and the satanic world gives you the truth. Keep your vibration high. The secret. Even some of your famous people will tell you this, and then they will laugh because they know this is the truth. But humans will buy these books, even these self-help books, but they'll read it, but they won't know how to really put it into practice, and they'll only half believe it. Sure, we know that we all want to be happy and we want to have and be high vibration, but because we are still believing in the physical, and the physical brings us down, because if circumstances around you make you feel depressed, it is very hard to say, I am a spiritual being, the physical doesn't matter, I'm going to be happy and defeat this world anyway. You see, it is a real catch-22, very much so. You can see that yourself. But it is still given to you. Believe you me, just take a look at what is around you. That's all I'm saying now, because once you start to see it even in a physical way, then you might believe this. Look at your physical satanic world. Look at the world that is presented to you. Listen to your music. Look at your movies. See where they're taking you. Look at your commercials. Look at all these symbols and all this stuff they say is rubbish. See if it's not there and everywhere. If you start to see it everywhere, which you will, if you start to look into it, then you will realize that this is the truth. But while you do not, as I didn't see it, I didn't see any of it, and now I'm blown away because I'm like, oh, it's just everywhere. And yes, of course it is Satan's playground, but you have to then know what the symbols are. You have to know what it represents. It is shown to you a little bit, right? But still a lot of people do not know. They look at their celebrities and they say, oh, well, they do this, that, and everything all the time, but that's just this or that. But they don't question it. They don't say, hey, this is definitely what it is, because it's not coincidence. It is not random. It is everywhere. If one person does something, right? If two people do something, that is what you would call a coincidence. But if every celebrity does the same thing, that is not a coincidence. Okay? And this is what you have to look at with everything in this world. There is no coincidences. There is nothing random. It is all controlled. It is all Satan's playground. Some people operate directly for him. Human beings, the higher up they are in this world, the closer they are to that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't acknowledge it. I'm saying you should acknowledge that it is Satan's playground. I'm saying you have a choice whether you actually play along with it and where you want it to stay totally negative, because it is a negative realm. Now, I'm saying that I think we should be trying to balance it out a little bit more to where it goes a bit more towards positive, because if it goes too much towards negative, it will be no one's playground in the end, and then Satan himself will walk away and leave it and say, hey, I'll close down that insane asylum now. That's another victory. I shall move on to somewhere else. This is how it works. Because if you knew the real history of things, which I've looked into a little bit just recently, then it all fits. It all fits. And it is something that has been going on for a long, long time, and it's taken thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And yes, in the past, as I've said before, there have been, for what I can gather, if you look at the true history, not the false history that we have, the alternative history, and you really look into an alternative history, even the Bible is really an alternative history in a way. But there is much truth in the Bible. There are a lot of facts in the Bible. There are a lot of things that we almost think are unbelievable in the Bible that actually are true. But it is still not the whole truth in the sense that it is still Satan's Bible in a kind of way. Even though who we think we are worshipping might appear to be good, right? It's a bit like saying, look, this is just what I'm saying, is that I think that even Jesus Christ, if he existed, he did not create the Bible. He did not go around telling the history. He was just trying to tell human beings that they should change their world, which is exactly what I'm saying. He was trying to give humans back their humanity and their spiritual nature to where they could take more control of their environment. This is what I think. But instead, because he was such an influential figure, he then gets used in a whole religion, which is really not really what he intended, and, you know, not really the true reality of it. But I'm not going to go there because that's another thing. Religion and all that is too long-winded. I'll leave it with what I've said. As I've said before, this is a playground controlled by technology, which is under the control of, let's use the word Satan, okay? That is the entity I'm going to use. This entity was technological intervention a long, long, long time ago, okay, with humans. It compromised their spiritual being to where they're in the dark and to where we've lost things. We've lost a lot. And just our even basics of who and what we are has been denied us. It also has made human beings into, yes, lesser at a physical and spiritual and mental level. And this was deliberate because if we had stayed at our high spiritual and mental capabilities and physically, we would naturally not be living in Satan's playground, and naturally we would not accept this, and we would know that it was inferior to us. Instead, we have adopted the inferior and became inferior ourselves because of this, which is really a real joke on all of us and on us as spiritual beings. And this is the idea. So it's almost like you could say the pupils are controlling the masters. The technological beings, because technology is inferior to spirituality, because everything is really spiritual. This is the complicated thing. So what we have here is really technology, which is inferior, controlling spirituality and nature, which is superior. So we have the reverse satanic world, and that is what the doctrine of satanic thing is. Everything in reverse. If you look into the so-called Aleister Crowley, all that Baphomet stuff, look into it. Everything is in reverse, and that's exactly how it is on this earth. Everything fits once you get most of the information, okay? It's a backwards world. Those that are at the top have adopted that policy that you can do what you like. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be humane. You can kill other human beings. You can feed off them. We are the cattle, the lesser ones. The top ones, they feed off us like vampires. And this is okay. And the funny thing is that we are part of it because we do not know that we are creators. So our mind manipulation, because it's really all about mind control, spiritual mind control, if you think about it, because if we do not know that we are the creators and that we are creating and that we're all connected and that everything is frequency and vibration, and they control our frequency and our vibration, keep us thinking negative, keep us sad, keep us unhappy, keep us depressed, keep us. And then also you've got the and you know this yourself, the invasion of the physical components which deplete our physical body, because we are meant to be spiritual beings in contact with nature, but instead we live in a chemical world. We live in an artificial world. Everything we put into our body is chemical, artificial. Even the things that I might use now to stop my nose from running, as you can see, would be some sort of chemical pill compound, which is really alien to my body. Sure, it will stop my nose from running, but it is not doing my body any good. My nose should not be running. I should not have any illness because I'm a spiritual being. My thought creates reality, but this has been taken over by the satanic playground. It's complicated. Think about it. But that is the reality. That is the truth. This is the real reality, the real truth. Very hard to comprehend, very hard to accept. I need to get up and go right now and get a pill to fix the running nose. It shouldn't be running at all. I shouldn't have been in a low vibration yesterday to where I was susceptible to it. But the satanic playground, the matrix, got the better of me. It had the upper hand. As I've said before, it always wins because it's got the whole control of things now, because we've given it over to them. Humans have given over their creative power to the satanic matrix playground and to the technology, which also is a control system. It tells us what to think, it limits us. It gives us limited thinking to where we think the technology knows more than us. How we think and behave and what we think even about ourselves and about other people is based on the technology. This is why women now think they have to have men's jobs, whereas in the past that wouldn't have even occurred to them. But they had the technology, the brainwashing of this world by even feminism is a brainwashing thing. It's not empowering to women, it is disempowering. It is designed to make them more like men. The God entity is male, more technologically controlled and more stupid, to be honest, which is sad. And I did not realise this because I have been there and done the same thing. I've thought, hey, I want to do this. I've never been able to, but I've still thought that way. It's all a deception. Okay? All a separation. Because in reality, there's no difference. We're spiritual beings in a physical body. We're spiritual beings. The physicality does not matter. What we do does not matter. It doesn't matter whether you're digging a ditch, washing up. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether you're at the top or the bottom. Science is all false. No one is better than anyone else. In fact, to be honest, what has happened in this world now is that your top intellectual people are even more deceived than us lesser people, because they are operating in the false technical world, which is all lies and all deception. So even their brain, their intelligence is being used to deceive and to operate for Satan's playground, if you know what I mean. Whereas some people like myself, who are not an intellectual and not a scientist or not anyone that is of any kind of input into this world has become aware, at least, of the false reality, whereas the scientists are operating under false science, and their intelligence is being used to make them and us play even more in this fake technological Satan's playground. So they are not really using even their intelligence to get the truth, shall we say. The truth is the only thing that will set you free. That is a soundbite. Yes, it is the only thing that will set humans and any living thing that is on this earth, human or even less human, okay? I'm saying if you're living on this earth, particularly if you're not like right at the top where you think at least where there's no way probably, for instance, if you're a billionaire and you're serving Satan directly almost, that you're going to wake up to this. You are going to stay a victim. I would have to say that. That's probably quite likely because you're just getting too many benefits, you're too deceived. But anyone who goes down the ranks might at least see some benefit to the truth, because don't forget the ones right at the top do have a lot more access to this truth anyway. They are still manipulated and controlled and victims, but they can never see that, I don't think, because they think they are totally controlling it, because they actually are controlling us. They control this world at a technological level. They're the ones that give you the computers, the Wi-Fi, the mobile phones to control you and to brainwash you and to manipulate you into thinking and behaving certain ways. They give you your world. They tell you what is going on the other side of the world, despite the fact that it is all a setup. They have created it. Everything is a setup. They have control over every situation, you see. And as they have control over our minds, of course, they can control people. So they can set up negative situations which bring our frequency down to where then we are susceptible and cannot. Because another point that I'm going to make, and I think this is true because I haven't got there yet either, if you are able to rise to a very high vibration, you will automatically see all this truth, I think. You know, you will have the sacred knowledge almost. But that's why they keep you right down. But as you can see, even someone like myself that is becoming aware, but I still don't have all the knowledge because I'm not able to raise my frequency and vibration up. This is where we have these people like Jesus Christ, and I believe that this was the case with him, and this is why he's mocked and not really liked by the satanic playground, because he was above. He was at the higher level, so he was above the satanic force. But most human beings don't get to that level. That's why we end up worshipping him as a god, you know, because he had risen to that level. That also meant that he had much more control over the physical, because he knew that thought creates reality. He knew that he could change things. But even he was still killed in this physical reality. This shows you the power of the satanic matrix playground that we live in. It's a playground, it's a video game, completely controlled by that. Even he, because he was trying to get other humans to realize that they're all connected and their thought creates reality. He was trying to raise their vibration, you see, trying to make them into a positive state of mind, because then he knew that they could change their reality. But even he, even though he had risen above it himself, he was still defeated by the physical satanic forces, the technology that was around them at the time. When I say technology, I mean that back then they didn't have the technology that we think of as technology, but they still had the ability to control the minds of the powers that be. Like the Romans, they were controlled by the satanic forces, right? So they had mind control over the Roman top people, and they had put in place their satanic laws, which is like to kill Jesus. That's a law. Jesus did no wrong at all, and yet he was still killed because of their system. The system is a satanic system. It's always been, since we adopted and fell for that satanic way of thinking. We have went, every way we live is a satanic, mind-controlled system. And even then, they operated under a system. They had laws. They had a way of being. Certain, the emperors and things ruled most other people. That is the satanic system, where you have one person, just like Satan rules this whole playground. That is the hierarchy. A hierarchy is the satanic system, okay? That's how it works. And so they were still able to kill, in a physical sense, the spiritual being that was Jesus, even though he had risen above it. And he showed that, if you believe what happens, he showed that he could do many things. He was trying to show humans that, but, he was not successful, because if you've got the whole world against you, the whole matrix, the whole satanic playground against you, he needed to get other humans to combine with him. And that's what he was trying to do. And he accomplished it quite a bit, which was why he was got rid of, because he was accomplishing that on a big scale. Even though he was just one man, he was able to, because he knew, you see, that he didn't have to talk directly to every single human or Roman that was around at the time. He knew that even if he only spoke to a minority, if he could get them to think positive, get them to a high vibration, that they would pass on that vibration to other humans just psychically, just by because they're all connected, you see. Humans are spiritual beings in a physical body. Their thought creates reality, and they're all connected. So he knew that it would be passed on just by the vibration and by the thought, because even the humans that don't know this are still going to pick it up. Especially back then, because there wasn't as much technology. Now this is really being stopped from us, because the technology is anti-human, anti-vibrational, anti-communication at a mental level. So the frequencies that are going through the air, the use of the mobile, all this is a blocking of that. Back in Jesus's time, they didn't have any of that. So it was, but even then, he was still defeated, you see, if you look at it, because they couldn't have that, because eventually all humans would have started to become happy, even though they were in bad circumstances. He was still getting them to raise their vibration, the average person that was not like the top ones. And it would have spread, and then they would have took back their world. He wouldn't have had to have done anything. That's why we all know, and that's why some people worship him, because they're like, hey, he was killed for our sins. Yes, our negativity, because he was killed and he did not do any wrong. We all know that. He didn't commit any crime. He didn't actually commit any crimes against the Roman authority or the Roman laws, but he was still executed because they could not allow that to happen. They could not allow his good thoughts to just be transmitted to other human beings. Not just even because they knew, the powers that be knew, they knew that he couldn't talk to every single human being. See, this reality is false. This is what I'm saying. There's no way that Jesus could have talked to every single Roman. And he didn't. He only walked around and spoke to a limited number. But that was enough, because human beings are all connected. See, this has to be true if you think about what I'm saying, because otherwise he would not have been a threat. It's like if I've got a small following of people that listen to me right now, I've got no one, but if I had, say, 10,000, there's 8 billion people. It's not going to be enough to change the world. But if those 10,000 are connected to all others, then it will go. It will spread, even though I might only speak to a few. And this is what Jesus knew, and he knew this. And he was hoping to get it going quick, but even he could not defeat the matrix, Satan's playground, the powers that be, the control system that was around him. And he was probably hoping that after he went, that yes, some of his followers would pass it on. But unfortunately, they got compromised too, you see, because once he was gone, it's very easy for people to fall back into Satan's playground. And so this is why we have the chaos we have now, and we're still in the dark. And even those that can see a little bit of truth, we're still surrounded by the matrix. And let's face it, none of us are at the high spiritual, high vibrational level that the Jesuses or those few unique human beings that were able to get there at. And even they could not defeat the matrix, Satan's playground, this world that is essentially controlled, manipulated, a total setup in every single way. Every single thing that goes on, from the smallest to the biggest thing, is a setup. All manipulated, all controlled by the satanic technological entity. And I emphasize the technological because that is so much our world now, and that is stopping us from going back to nature. He did, yes. Oh, no, he didn't throw off.
He did, hey.